Hi there, and welcome to another Take 10 video on principle-based performance improvement, where our goal is to provide maximum knowledge per minute to help you move yourself and your organization toward better, safer, and more productive outcomes. In the last episode, we talked about how environments impact culture. Let's tie together the key learnings from episodes 1 and 2. First, when it comes to people, if you're looking for true and sustainable improvements in performance, you must stop hacking at the leaves and dig beneath the surface. Your culture determines your results. Second, your culture is either grown and nourished or stifled and depleted by the environment. Environment impacts everything. And third, as a leader and influencer in any capacity, your impact on the health and quality, or lack thereof, of the environment is leveraged. The higher your role resides on the org chart, the greater your impact. The question I left you with at the end of the last episode was, how can you possibly scale influence across groups of people where individuals often display quite different responses to their internal WIIFM, or what's in it for me, questions? Look, whether you're the CEO of an international enterprise, a coordinator, or a mid-level manager, a plant manager, a frontline supervisor, a small business owner with 5 team members, or perhaps you're primarily focused on simply influencing your family members, the answers are the same, and you're going to have them here in the next few minutes. My primary purpose with this video is to introduce you to the 7 natural principles of human performance. So let's go ahead and dive in. In our universe, we have natural laws. There are several of them. However, one we're all quite familiar with is gravity. We experience it every day here on planet Earth. It's what keeps our feet on the ground. The reason it's called a natural law is, first of all, because it's based on nature and it's universal. It doesn't distinguish based on job titles, bank account balances, or how good looking or not an individual might happen to be. An example? Let's say that you and I were to walk to the middle of the Route 4 bridge over Quechee Gorge in the state of Vermont in the United States and look over the edge to the river, which just happens to be 165 feet below. We might come from completely different backgrounds, have different IQs, be separated in age by 40 years or more. However, if we were to climb over the railing and jump off, while others would certainly question our sanity, the natural law of gravity does not differentiate or play favorites. The result's going to be the same for each of us because it's a natural law. As it turns out, validated by more than 2,000 years of recorded history, just underneath the natural laws are a set of natural principles. Because of how our brains are wired and because we've evolved collectively as a species, there are a handful of principles that attract us, that are important to us, and that we respond to, positively when they're present and negatively, even violently, when they're not. What's a classic example of a natural principle? Again, here's one you're undoubtedly familiar with. In Christianity, it's called the Golden Rule. Do unto others as you would have others do unto you. In more modern English, this is simply treat others like you want to be treated. Ever heard of that before? Of course you have. Think it's a good idea? Of course you do. I find it fascinating that a close variation of this precept can be found in every major religion on the planet. It's universal. It applies to everyone. Psychopaths and sociopaths aside, these principles represent how most of us feel life should be lived. So then, back to our question. How can you and I effectively scale our influence when we're dealing with groups of people with different mindsets and perceptions, different personalities, and different likes and dislikes? Well, individually, you and I and those around us can look and seem quite different. When you dig beneath the surface, are you noticing a pattern here? We're all pretty much the same. At our core, we want the same things, those represented by these natural principles. The age of modern thinking on planet Earth began about 2,400 years ago, and one of its earliest pioneers was a guy named Aristotle. Ever heard of him? Of course you have. Among many other things, Aristotle is known for a method of problem solving that involved peeling back the layers of a question, problem, or an issue to get to its most basic fundamental elements. A modern-day application of this approach is the 5 whys used in causal analysis. It's called first principles thinking. This is the type of thinking that we have applied to human performance. And I'm going to make a very bold statement. What I'm about to introduce you to, having experienced its incredible effectiveness for improving safety, reliability, efficiency, productivity, and profitability for more than 2 decades, is also ultimately the solution to the majority of problems and conflicts around the globe. We didn't discover this because we're super geniuses. I want to make that clear. Our discovery involved more than 20 years of experience across 5 continents, working with well over 100,000 team members and their leaders, followed by the pandemic lockdowns, which gave us a grand opportunity for reflection and introspection, and then validation by AI. If you want to know more of that story, grab a copy of my next book, The 7 Natural Principles of Human Performance, using the link provided along with this video. As I introduce you to the 7 natural principles, please understand, this is not theory. This is not theoretical. These principles were not developed in an academic think tank through testing of college students or through surveys. In truth, they revealed themselves through the in-the-trenches experiences I just told you about. Here's a brief introduction to each of the 7 natural principles of human performance. At the hub is trust. This is your starting point. When trust doesn't exist, none of the other principles really matter because, honestly, without trust, you have nothing. The next is power. This principle includes not only control, but also self-control and how proper balance between the two promotes successful and sustainable interactions and outcomes. Then there's progress. Without a sense of moving forward toward a desired goal or endpoint, again, because of the way our brains are wired, people are miserable. Belonging is the next principle. Human beings are indeed social creatures. We need to feel that we're part of something bigger than ourselves, a group or a cause, whatever it might happen to be. And beyond being part of the team, we long to feel appreciated. As psychologist William James put it, the deepest principle in human nature is the craving to be appreciated. The next principle is respect. Take this one away and you awaken raw negative emotion. There are 2 types of respect. Owed respect, which is the basis for the golden rule we discussed earlier, and earned respect, which is based on merit. And the final principle, justice. How essential is this one? A sensed lack of justice is currently the cause for many of the more significant problems in organizations and for the world at large. In spite of on-the-surface differences, this simple handful of principles, these human needs, are directly impacting the whys underneath everyone's choices, actions, and behaviors, yours and mine included. They always have, and they always will. The question is, in your organization, on your team, are they currently abundant and obvious? If so, fantastic. You're likely experiencing associated positive impacts and outcomes. On the other hand, if these principles are lacking, if they're questionable or inconsistent, you're undoubtedly seeing negative consequences, both in team member attitudes and in those metrics we talked about in previous videos. In the next episode, I'm going to walk you through the 3-step process for integrating the 7 natural principles into your work environment. It's called the transformation framework. Now, since I imagine you're anxious to put this into practice, here's what you can do today to begin reaping the benefits of principle-based performance. Become a role model of the 7 natural principles. Place them front and center in how you do what you do, how you interact with others, and in your choices, actions, and behaviors. And if you're impatient like I am and you want to dig deeper now, grab a copy of the 7 Natural Principles of Human Performance. Then read it, learn it, know it, and begin living it. Transformation must begin with you. If you're finding these insights helpful, help us spread the word by sharing these videos with your friends and colleagues. Hit the like button before you leave and subscribe to this channel so you don't miss the next one. By the way, if you have specific questions or suggestions for future episodes, use the link below to let us know. Until next time, my friend, be safe, stay humble, and make a difference.